guys, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to do a Q&A with you guys today because I haven't done one of these since my newborn Q&A, which was like 6 months ago, almost 6 months ago. So I wanted to do a Q&A video with you guys to see what you wanted to know. I did ask you guys over on Instagram if you had any questions for me, and you had tons, and they were also varied from motherhood questions, budgeting, like loads of stuff. So I picked out all of the questions that I'm going to answer on my phone, so I will go through them. And grab yourself a drink, grab yourself a tea, a coffee, a water. This is your daily reminder to drink water, because I was so bad at not drinking water, and now I am drinking at least 2 or 3 litres a day, which is awesome. So definitely water, guys. That's your daily reminder. Okay, let's get into the Q&A. The first question that we've got is, were you worried about becoming a mum? I'm scared to lose my old life. And I can relate to this so much. I absolutely was scared. I was petrified because I like my independence, I like my freedom. It is scary, of course it's scary. Your life is like the biggest, most life-changing thing. Everyone always says that, don't they? And that's maybe why we worry about it so much. I have to say, like, I feel quite different about this than when I originally got pregnant, because when I first got pregnant we were allowed out, we were allowed to go for meals, we were allowed to go out for a drink or go on holiday. Oh my gosh, right, we were allowed to do all these things, and then coronavirus hit, and actually that was February, March, I was still in my first trimester. I couldn't do those things anyway. Throughout most of my pregnancy and throughout George being here, we've been in bloody lockdowns. Like, I can't even remember what my bloody life was like before this new world that we live in was. So I don't know, I can't say that I feel like I've missed out because of George. I definitely feel like I've missed out on loads because of just the situation in the world, but everyone has. I don't think it helps, you know, being restricted by those things and being a new mum. It can be really, really isolating, but I'm so lucky, and I know this, that I've got all of you guys. I talk to so many of you over on Instagram, I DM you. Like, I'm lucky that I've had that. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't have anything. I think it's just, you have to adapt, don't you? You just have to adapt in every situation that you're in, whether that's because you've had a new baby, whether that's because we've been in lockdowns for like almost a year. Yeah, you just have to adapt and find the joy in things. And your old life, whatever your old life is, try and find ways to keep parts of that, because that is you and what makes you you. So do what makes you happy, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know if that's a really good answer or not, but that's what I think. The next question is a finance question, and it's, what is your financial goal or financial goals? I love this question. I love this question so much, and I have a couple of different kind of goals. So this is a really like personal thing. I don't think I've ever spoken about this before. So my partner and I really want to be mortgage free in about 10 to 11 years, and we've figured out a plan, a way to do that, and we're on target for that. I don't know whether it's going to happen, but I think we are very capable of doing it if we stick to the plan that we've got. So basically we're just overpaying on our mortgage by a certain amount of money, and if we carry on doing that for 10 years, we will have paid up our mortgage, which is amazing. I mean, I'm 23 this year, so by the time I'm 33, hopefully I'll be mortgage free, and that would be awesome. But alongside that, so a separate financial goal, I guess, is I'm putting money into investments. So all of the money that I make from YouTube, all of the money that I make from affiliate links, all of the money, any extra money basically that comes my way, I invest. Obviously that's after taxes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, all of that extra money I put away into investments, which is really, really cool. If I didn't have this as an income stream, I would still do it with, I still do it with some of my salary that I get from my job, my day job, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as much. So at the moment I have got about £5,000 in investments, which is amazing. Like, I'm so over the moon about that, and I just want to keep building on that, and then one day do something with that money. That might be putting a lump sum towards a mortgage, buying a second house. Lots of ideas and things that we could possibly do, but at the moment we are just putting money away. I'm putting money away into my investments, and hopefully that is then going to grow and I can do something with that money. Whether that is I've just got loads of financial security, or I actually buy, I don't know, a second house, or a house to rent out, another house to rent out. We rent out our other house. And this is a military house, just for people that don't know that. And yeah, that's kind of the goal. Another thing is to always have like an emergency fund. So I like to have about £1,000 or £2,000, somewhere in the middle of that, as an emergency fund, so if the washing machine breaks, I can just get a new washing machine, and I don't have to worry about it. Or if something happens to my car, I can just fix it, hopefully, if it's not too expensive. Or if the rent doesn't come in on our other house, then I've got the money there. Like, it doesn't matter too much. So yeah, I like to have that buffer. I would ideally really like to have 3 months wages in there. I definitely don't have that at the moment, but you know, I'm working towards that slowly. So yeah, probably they're my 3 financial goals that I would like to share with you guys. Next question is about George, and it says, does George still not have his dummy? My baby is 3 months old and I want to get rid. Okay, so let me just recap quickly. So when George was 4 months old, he started having this thing in the night where he would just be like tossing and turning when his dummy fell out, and it was so annoying because I'd have to get up and put the dummy back in, and he'd spit out again, and I'd put it back in. It's like the dummy run, and it was just getting on my last nerve. Like, I couldn't sleep because every 5 minutes he would spit his dummy out. So I just went, you know what? Forget it, you can't have it anymore. Took it away, and I think it's probably 2 or 3 nights of like pure hell, of him just being awake, he just wouldn't sleep. He eventually started just going to sleep on his own without the dummy, and because nothing's coming out, you know, nothing's changing. I think the point is, when they go to sleep, the state that they go to sleep in has to be this. So after a sleep cycle, they have to wait. If they wake up in the middle of the night, the state that they first went to sleep in has to be the same as that. So if they've got white noise playing, has to have white noise playing when they wake up. If they've got a dummy, the dummy has to be in their mouth when they wake up, etc, etc. So yeah, if they didn't have the dummy in the first place, eventually they'll just learn to sleep without it. I mean, we're all adults, none of us have dummies now, so we all learn to not have the dummy, or if we never had the dummy in the first place. Do you see what I mean? So we just went cold turkey with it. And 2 or 3 nights, and then it was fine. I'm not saying that's gonna work for everyone, but yeah, that's how we did it. To be honest, like, if George wasn't having issues with the dummy, like if it was falling out and he wouldn't care, like, then that's fine. I would just let him have the dummy for ages, to be honest, because if it helps, it helps. If it's not causing an issue, then who cares? But if you're like me and it was causing an issue, then maybe try. I mean, it's up to you. It's whatever works for you and how you can get a good night's sleep and how your baby can get a good night's sleep. Okay, next one is about weaning, and it is, how is weaning going? Would love to see a day in the life of weaning. So yeah, I am weaning George. We have started this week, so since Monday, this video is going out on Sunday, so we started on Monday and it's been going really, really well. We've been giving him like the first tastes. So basically we just pureed everything up, did like a batch cook, put it all in the freezer into these like really good ice cube trays, and then like they're specific for weaning, and then every night we just get one out for the next day. And we've had mixed reviews from George, I'm not gonna lie. At first he was like, what the hell is this? But yeah, no, it's going really, really well, and there potentially is a weaning video coming up. Maybe next video, who knows? So next question is about maternity pay, and it is, what is the basic maternity pay? Thanks. So I think this means, what is statutory maternity pay? And that is basically after whatever your employer is, you know, your employer will have a package, a maternity leave package. So for mine it was the first 6 months, and then after that I go down to statutory maternity pay, and that is £604 and I think 80p every month. So it is significantly lower than my normal income, but yeah, so that is like the standard statutory maternity pay, and you get that. Every single employer will do it differently. I'm really lucky that I get 6 months full maternity pay. Like, that is, I think, like, it's really, really good. So statutory maternity pay is £604 and I think 80p. Next question is top tips for budgeting on mat pay, please. So I would say, first of all, I would not be able to survive or pay my bills or get food or anything if I hadn't have pre-planned. So basically, before I stopped work when I was pregnant, I saved up enough money to be able to cover myself for bills and for spending money and everything when I went on to statutory maternity pay. So I've got 3 months worth of statutory maternity pay of £604. My outgoings are far more expensive than that. So I had to save about 2 grand previously in order to cover myself for those 3 months. So that £2,000 is going to be split across those 3 months where I'm going to have different outgoings, all that kind of thing. The worst month is going to be June, because that's when George starts his childcare, and that's also also when I'm still on like statutory maternity pay, so the outgoings are going to be significantly higher than my incoming, because my incoming is going to be statutory maternity pay. So yeah, that is my biggest tip, is to save money to cover yourself for when you're on that, because otherwise, like, I just couldn't have done it, and I don't know how people do. I guess when you're on statutory maternity pay, it is just, I think, crucial to cover your own back. Don't get behind on payments, don't not pay, you know, if you've got debts and things like that. Basically, the biggest thing for me is just make sure that you have some money tucked away elsewhere. Don't touch it until you need it for your statutory maternity pay, and top it up, essentially. So that £2,000 is going to top up over those 3 months my £604. I'm going to spread it out. So I think 1 month I'm going to spend £500 of that. Another month I'm going to spend, you know, £700 of that, etc. Biggest piece of advice is plan ahead, for goodness sake. Don't leave it to the last minute. Don't not plan, because that's when you get into the shit. Next question is, did you take any antenatal classes? So I did a few like free taster classes during the first lockdown, but they were all a bit naff, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I didn't like any of them. Obviously NCT is like the classic, and I haven't actually heard like amazing reviews of NCT. I think it's more about meeting those friends where you are in the same area and they're having babies at the same time, and you might meet some amazing lifelong friends from that are going through the same thing at the same time as you. However, for me, lockdown, no. I was living in Hampshire at the time, and I wasn't going to be staying anywhere near Hampshire 3 weeks after we had the baby, so all of that I just kind of thought, yeah, I'm not that, you know, I can't, it doesn't work for me. If we were staying in the same area, it would have worked for me. If we weren't in lockdown, it would have massively worked for me, but it didn't. So I would have done NCT if I was staying around that area, but I wasn't, so yeah. What I did do was a hypnobirthing class, and I did a hypnobirthing class, and it was virtual, but it was the single best thing I could have done, and actually advise every single person that is pregnant to do it. Like, don't think about hypnobirthing as this like hippy dippy, like meditating, and it's not like that at all. I did it with a company called The Birth Uprising. They're based in Northamptonshire, I think, but they do like everything over Zoom, and you know, they're bloody awesome as well. They are so real, so down to earth, so like cut the bullshit. They are so, I love them, and yeah, I would just definitely really recommend that. I probably would say I wasn't the best at channeling the hypnobirthing methods during labour, but on like the lead up to it, the first part of it, I was really good at it. When I was going from getting contractions and all that kind of stuff, I was really good at like thinking about all the hypnobirthing exercises that I'd done and all that kind of stuff. But then it got to a point where it all just went out the window. But my labour was really quick, so I didn't have the time to like gather myself, but I would just really recommend it to anyone. And The Birth Uprising are a really good company for understanding like the body and the hormones that your body is producing or not producing during that time, and just understanding what's happening so that you can help yourself to go through it. I cannot emphasize enough how much it helped me just to visualize what was happening to me at that really crazy time. Like, I can't even believe that I even gave birth. Like, it feels like such a lifetime ago. But yeah, I really recommend hypnobirthing over anything. I really love this question. Where do you see yourself in 10 to 15 years? This answer, like, it changes constantly, and I think about it a bit too much. I think it's actually a little bit unhealthy how much I think about the future, because I think it's really important to think about the now, and sometimes I feel like I wish away these years because I'm a little bit meh about these years, I can't lie. Not like with George, anything to do with him, of course I'm not meh about that, but I'm meh about like the situation. I hate lockdown, I hate, you know, just like having to move all the time and things like that. I just don't love it, so I'm a bit meh about that. but I really love thinking about in the future, we are going to be able to choose where we live. We're going to be able to choose the town, the county, you know, whether we live near the seaside or the countryside or in the city. Like, we can choose that, and we're going to be able to choose whether we live near friends or family and all that kind of stuff. We're going to be able to buy a house that we're going to actually live in as a family, and it's going to be ours, and we can do stuff to it. I'm a massive interiors freak. Like, I love it, but I just can't do anything here, so it's just a bit meh. So yeah, I definitely can't wait for in about 10 to 15 years, because that is around the time where we think you know, we'll have the opportunity to do that, and I'll really enjoy it. Like, that's the main thing, is I think moving to a place where we can actually settle. That's where I see ourselves in that amount of years, 10, 15 years. I like the idea of George having a baby brother or a baby sister, but I do not like the idea of having another pregnancy. I can't lie. Work-wise, I kind of think I would really like to hit a certain, like, promote a couple of promotions in work, I guess. I would really like to work back in London at some point, and with this, I kind of don't set myself targets with this kind of stuff, with YouTube and with Instagram and that kind of thing, just because I enjoy it too much. I don't want to put pressure on myself to do it, because then it might not be enjoyable. But I would love to get to a point where I work part-time in my main job, my day job, and then also do this part-time, and yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Next question is, what is the first thing you'll do after lockdown? And let me tell you, I'm so excited for this, guys. I feel like the first thing that we'll do is probably go for a little break away somewhere, maybe in the Peak District, maybe to Yorkshire, maybe to Devon. We're not sure, but like a staycation, somewhere that we can all go as a family, like Molly and Luke included, the cat and the dog included, and George obviously, and just be like comfortable, like maybe in like a cottage or like a lodge or something like that, and maybe go to a beer garden. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do. Next question is, how much do you budget for food / every average sort of weekly shop? And for this, if you haven't seen my sort of budgeting spreadsheet thing, I do like every single bit of my budget on that spreadsheet, but basically every month we both put in £150 for shopping, so it's £300 a month on food, but that also includes things like formula, wipes, nappies, dog food, cleaning products. Like, that's everything that you get at a general Tesco. So it's not just food, it's also all of the other like householdy bits, hand soap and sanitizer, and, you know, pots and pans, random bits that you might need. So it is pretty much everything that we spend about £300 I think a month on food shop / household essentials that you would get at a supermarket. I like this question a lot. One piece of advice that you'd give to someone who is about to become a first-time mum. My advice is, take every single bit of advice that you get with a pinch of salt. What works for someone won't necessarily work for you, and then you'll get two exact opposite pieces of advice, and you have to choose your own route. You might go down one specific route, you might go down the other specific route, you might choose your own. I think just take everything that you hear with a pinch of salt. Just because it worked for them and they're shouting it from the rooftops because it's worked for them, which is amazing, doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So know yourself, take every bit of a piece of advice with a pinch of salt, and just do you, and don't sweat the small stuff. The next question was, how did you deal with telling people, including the midwife, that you didn't want to breastfeed? Advice, please. And it breaks my heart that people have to ask this question, because people are obviously so nervous about it. And I have to say, I think I was a bit nervous about it. I wasn't nervous about telling anyone other than the midwife, because I'd heard so many stories, like people saying that their midwives were so unsupportive and didn't give them any advice about bottle feeding, and they kind of looked them up and down and were like, really? Like, you should probably breastfeed. Like, and it's quite, apparently, I've never ever experienced this, by the way, but a lot of people have told me that they feel really judged, and it's just sad. Like, I feel sorry for the people that have to go through that, I really do. Fortunately, when it came to my midwife, best person in, like, I just loved her so much, but my midwife was so supportive that I didn't have any judgment whatsoever. When I told her, she asked, you know, she'd go through the checklist at, how are you thinking about feeding? And I said, I was like, oh, I think I'm thinking about bottle feeding, I don't really want to breastfeed. And she was like, okay, yeah, no worries. So, and then she started talking to me about how the different things that I might want to think about in terms of bottle feeding, so like sterilizer, what kind of bottles I might want to get. Like, she was so amazing, so supportive. I totally get it that healthcare professionals want to absolutely and rightly tell you the benefits of breastfeeding. I totally understand that. But the fact that there's also support sometimes, I'm not saying everyone has this experience, but the fact that I was able to get the support that I wanted for bottle feeding was amazing. I really appreciated it, and I needed it. I absolutely needed it. I'm a first time mum in my 20s. Like, sometimes I think, oh my God, how am I being allowed to have a baby? Like, I don't know anything. And then you obviously do your research and you find things out and you just go with it. But the fact that there was some support there from my midwife was amazing. It makes me really sad that people are scared about it. It's your choice, it's your body, it's your life, it's your baby. You do you. Whatever you choose is the right choice. So don't worry. Don't worry about other people, for God's sake. Like, just don't. It's not the time. It's not the time to worry about other people. It's not the time to worry about their opinions. You and your baby are the most important thing. Whatever works for you, whatever works for your baby, as long as they're fed, who cares? Who cares? Next question is, what are your favourite shops for George? So, I have to say, I am quite frugal when it comes to buying stuff for George. I'm sure you guys would have seen, I've done, you know, numerous like newborn essentials videos, and when I've done things like hauls, and if I do, I always try and get like the bargains. When I also do my must-have videos, so my newborn must-have, my 3 to 4 month must-haves, they're always really affordable, or at least I try to make them the most affordable I possibly can, because I like to save my money, I can't lie. So when it comes to my favourite shops for George in terms of stuff, like stuff full stop, like anything that he might need, Amazon. Get everything on there. Like, I just can't vouch enough for Amazon. The second one I want to mention is Scandieborn. Scandieborn is bloody gorgeous. I cannot tell you how stunning some of the things are on there, from wooden toys to interior things like before babies, but also like clothing and bibs and things for weaning. Honestly, Scandieborn is like up there with my favourite. Like, I will definitely be ordering some toys and things off of there at some point soon for George. But when it comes to clothes, there are loads of really cute places, but actually the 2 places that I like the most, H&M and Asda. Not gonna lie. I do really like Zara, but I've never bought anything from there for George. I love when I see things online for babies from Zara and for adults, but for babies I really like the stuff they have. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm just not gonna spend the money on it. He's gonna be in something for 2, 3, 4 months max. I'm not spending that money. Maybe on pre-loved things I would get things from Zara. If anyone wants to buy George birthday presents from Zara, I won't be angry, but yeah, I'm not spending my money on it. Next question is, how are you finding married quarters and the whole military community? So, I don't really know how to answer this, because in terms of like the military community, I can't say that I've experienced it much yet, because we're in lockdown and no one's doing anything. Normally, I think anyway, I've never lived in military accommodation before, but I think normally they'd have like support groups, they'd have like coffee mornings, they'd have mess do's, which basically is just, you know, an excuse to put on a ball gown and go to have like a mess do, like a little evening thing. Like, it sounds great. I've just never experienced it. I do really want to, but at the moment they're just not doing any of those things because of the situation, so I kind of haven't really experienced that yet. Facebook groups are really good for those kind of things, but it's just so difficult, isn't it? I'm definitely more of a face-to-face person than a, which is weird but considering what I do. But yeah, I definitely prefer face-to-face interaction with people to try and make friends rather than talking to them over like a Facebook group. I just can't really, you can't gauge someone that well, you can't get yourself across as well as you'd like to. I can't wait for the day where I can just sort of interact more with the military community type thing. So yeah, that is my answer to that part of the question. I guess the other part of the question is, how are you finding married quarters? And I don't love it. The house itself, it's not the prettiest. I don't love magnolia, I don't love wood chip, but needs must, and it is very affordable. The MOD are amazing because they do literally provide you with the house at such a discounted price, because they have to move you around so much that it wouldn't be fair to, you know, private landlords wouldn't understand if you just then had to say, oh, we have to move now. And also it would be difficult to buy and sell every like year and a half, 2 years, like, because that costs a lot of money. There's a lot of fees that go with buying a house. So the fact that the MOD provide families with these kind of houses is amazing, and I cannot grumble, I really can't. Although I did come from a house where I loved my kitchen and I loved my lounge and I did my bedroom really nicely, and I'm literally looking around my bedroom right now, and other than this corner, so yeah, it is what it is. You've got to get past it though, because otherwise you'll go crazy. I know that it's not permanent, I know that we're only here for a couple of years, so yeah, it's what it is, and I can't grumble too much. That's my answer. Next question is, do you allow George to self-soothe to sleep? If so, how did you start the process? I get asked this question so much, like so much on Instagram, and I genuinely, there are no tips. There are, other than the fact that we just do it. Like, we just, so say I know that he's ready, he's been awake for a couple of hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, whatever his awake window is for that period of time. So he's coming up to 6 months old, and his awake times are getting to about 2.5 hours. So 2.5 hours, 3 hours maybe. So I will put him down for a nap about 2.5 hours after, I think, like after he's woken up. So make sure the room is dark. Sometimes I used to put white noise on, but I stopped doing that, and then it was fine. So I just kind of don't do that anymore. So I just make sure the room was dark, blackout blind, amazing. Got the best blackout blind, it's portable, can fit on any window. I'll link it down below, it's really, really good. Just put him in a sleeping bag and then shut the door. And then sometimes if he's really, really like agitated, he'll cry a little bit and then he'll go to sleep. And sometimes he's not agitated, so he just sort of lays there until he falls asleep. He's tired, so I know that he's gonna sleep. I just double check him on the monitor until he sleeps, rather than me like looking over him or like hugging him or rocking him. None of that's gonna help, because basically, like I said earlier, the state that they go to sleep in has to be the same throughout their sleep. So if they go to sleep rocking and then they wake up like in an hour or 45 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, and they're not rocking, it has to be the same. So they're going to be like, what the hell, I'm all different. Like, it's, you know, it's confusing to them, it's not safe, it's different. Like, they're in a random environment. They weren't in their cot a minute ago, they were in someone's arms, and now it's changed, and then they're just going to wake up and get confused. So basically, obviously you know your baby, I know my baby, and this is what I do for him. So that's it. Like, I don't really have any. I feel like this is such a bad answer. Basically, I just let him lay in the cot until he sleeps. Whether he cries himself to sleep a little bit, obviously up to a certain limit, like 5 minutes is the max he'll ever cry. Like in his cot, like there are other times when he cries, but in his cot when he's going to sleep, 5 minutes is like the max. And I'm always keeping an eye out on his monitor, like I won't let it get to hysterical level, obviously. But yeah, make sure the room is dark and leave him to it. And 9 times out of 10 it works for George. I'm not saying this is going to work for everyone. I know that that's not a reality for everyone, but I think if you keep going in, I know that it definitely wouldn't help George. Again, I'm saying this from my experience, and everyone's child is different. Everyone's child's got different issues. Like if you've got a colicky baby or a reflux baby, or you know, if they've got different issues, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about my little one, and I know that if I leave him to it, he'll sleep. And if then he stirs like in an hour, I'm not going to rush in and go, oh, he's up, right, get him up, because chances are he'll go, oh. So he'll just go back to sleep again. Yeah, I think it's about knowing your baby, knowing your gut. If you worry about him or her loads, then I get it, you want to check on them. But I think, like, trust him or her, and trust yourself as well. Have a monitor, best thing, obviously, and you always check on them, and they'll be all right. Anyway, that's all we do. That's genuinely all we do, and I really hope that is a helpful answer. I don't know if it is, because I kind of think there are no tips. I don't do anything special. I just kind of don't do anything, and that's the whole point. Guys, I've still got so many questions to go through. I think I'm gonna cut this video short here. I think what I'm gonna do is do a part 2 to this video, and if you have any more questions, put them in the comments of this video, then I can add them to the next Q&A. I feel like I've answered like probably 1/3 of the questions that you guys asked me, so I'd really like to just do a second part to this video, and I think the really juicy question actually is in the second part, and I'll do that then. So definitely make sure you watch the next video, because it will be Little wood Chelsea with that one question that I'm just going to keep you hanging there, I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this. It was a really chilled, just catch up, little Q&A. If you've got any questions, like I said, pop them down below and I will hopefully answer them in the next one. I've got the weaning video going out on Wednesday, and then on next Sunday we will do another Q&A because I like it a lot. This is fun. This is fun. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you lots. Bye.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in old conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you keep on waiting. But then you came along and proved me all wrong. I was so mistaken.